Ready?
Ready.
Welcome back, guys. Today we will talk about functions, and I'm really excited to show you what those can do, and especially show Stephan what those can do, because there's something really great, and I'm looking forward to our first little functions video.
Me too. Let's go.
Let's go. All right. So functions are basically something you can call a lot of times. So for example, I can say console.log hello, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I call this code, if I run this code, it just says hello.
Yeah.
But
so far, so good.
Yeah. So if I want to run this a lot though, then that can be a bit annoying. Like I can say this and I can just have it again and again and again, but it at some point looks ugly. And it, of course, it still works. I get a lot of hellos here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but a different thing we can do, let's copy this for now. A different thing we can do is we can add a function that we can, for example, call hello. And it looks like this. It has the function keyword, then whatever you want to call it, just the same as with variables.
Yeah.
Pick a name that's distinct, that makes sense to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then inside of a function, we can do everything that we can outside of a function.
Yeah.
But what do you think is going to happen if I run this code now?
Which one?
Just this right here.
The function?
Yeah.
There would be an hello.
Okay, let's test it out. There's nothing.
I was wrong.
Yeah. So the reason for that is, there was a bit of a trap, I'm sorry. The reason for that is is that we have to call the function as well. So we can say hello here, and it's just basically this part that we use.
Oh, okay.
If we save it,
so now it
run it again,
hello.
Now we can say hello.
Okay.
And just the same, we can reproduce it as much as we want. That's the great thing about functions. It's not just a one-time thing.
Mm-hmm.
We can call it 5 times here, and then we will get hello 5 times.
Yeah, but this would be the same thing then, just
exactly. So you might
just one question. What do I need the brackets for?
This one?
No,
Right
after hello, the two.
I will get to that in a bit.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I said, you can do inside of the function, you can do everything you want. So you could have like a const name and call it Stephan, for example. And then we can say this right here. Oh, can say name right here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So now you, like in the beginning, you might have said like, okay, why is that so good? Like I have, before I said console log 5 times, and now I have 10 lines of code instead of 5.
Mm-hmm.
But the good thing is that these functions can get a lot of, can get like really complex. Like I said, you can do everything outside here, and you can reduce a lot of redundancy this way. So I can say, for example, now it says Stephan 5 times. And instead of also, if I want to change something in my code later, instead of having to go into every single console log and changing hello to Stephan, I can just do it once here, and then I get it everywhere. Okay. So that's also really good. And yeah, so that's the basics of function. Mm-hmm. A function can also have a return type. Return type means, let's move these together here for one sec. Okay. A return type can give something back from the function. So if I, for example, have a function called getNumber, and I want to give back the number 5 every time I call this, I will just say return 5.
Okay.
And if I call this getNumber now, what do you think happens here if we ignore the Stephan part?
I would say I get a 5.
and nothing happens once again.
But you...
The reason for that is that getNumber just returns it. I don't print it anywhere.
Oh, so okay, so I need the console log.
Exactly. So I could say console.log getNumber.
Yeah.
And then after that, I get my number.
Okay.
Or I could also, what's really good about this, what's super commonly used, like I have a variable here, and I can just assign it to a new variable. For example, my number, there you go, is now the result of getNumber. So I can say console.log my number, and once again, I get 5. And that again isn't very useful though, to just get like a fixed amount. Like you don't really want 5 every time. Maybe you want to add something.
Yeah.
And what also is like common use is that you have something called a parameter. So a parameter can be something like, if we want to improve our hello a bit, we can make a new function called greeting and give it a parameter. So that means I pass something inside and then something happens. So I can say, for example, name, and I have to say what type it is. So this is type string. And I can say console the log hello. And then if you remember, we can concatenate strings by adding a plus name. So if
just one, so the name is,
yeah, that's where we're getting to now. So
but this is a parameter.
This is a parameter, exactly.
Okay, so and there's a difference between that and a variable, right?
Yes. So this, if I want to say const, let's say username equals half so wild.
Who's that?
Then this is always fixed.
Yes.
And
because it's a constant, I just can override it with another. Yeah.
A parameter is just, you can just
any string.
Think of it. You can just think of a parameter itself as a variable that's in the head of a function. So what happens now is, for example, if I replace username with name, then every time I call greeting, I get hello half so wild.
Yeah.
But if I say name and I call greeting, and this is why we have an empty parentheses here. The reason is that sometimes, or a lot of times, we have parameters like this, and we can say, for example, Stephan. Whoa, there you go. That's your name. So if I say npm run serve, I get hello Stephan down here. Yeah. And so this is like, this adapts to whatever you give it here.
Yep. Gotcha.
If I do the same thing and say, Max, for example, I get hello Stephan, hello Max.
Okay,
and it's
understood.
Like, that's what's really great about it. And the other part about functions is that you can also, like, if you remember our if and else statements that was down here, you can have an unlimited amount of logical operators. Same goes for functions. You can have an unlimited amount of parameters. So if I want to say I want an add function, it's like a basic example of functions that I can say number, or let's say num1 is of type number, of course, and num2 is of type number as well. So I can say return num1 plus num2. And if I call the function down here, and maybe add a console.log. But if I call the function down here with, give me some numbers.
17.
17.
And 23.
And 23. If I call the function, then we get 40.
Yeah, okay. So, okay. So a real life use case, for example, would that the parameter, we do something, code something, so that we have a prompt in on a web page, for example, and the user writes something in it, and this one is then the parameter name or number, and okay.
So if, for example, a user registers on our website and
great example,
registers with his name, then we can say after that we can put that on our website and say hello, whatever the user input as a name. Yeah. And of course we can also, like I said, like the good thing is about functions, if say we have a few of those here, maybe not so many, like this, then I expect the same output every single time. And if I want to say at some point I don't want to edit, I want to multiply it, I can do that as well.
Yeah.
Now,
you don't have to change it for every
we had
single
391
thing. Yeah, that's great.
Oh. That's pretty cool. So yeah. Of course we can also, for example, add our if statements, our well-known if statements. We can say call a function, for example, user info. Like we talked about our user, I can call it username. It's of type string. I can also, it doesn't have to be the same one every time. It can be age, for example, is number. And then I can say console.log user username, age is age. So the expected output here is, of course, if I call the function with, say, max, and I'm 24.
So yeah,
I get
it's
user.
so capable.
Yeah, that's like really cool to have that.
Yeah.
And I can also say like a special greeting for me. I can say if username equals max.
Oh, okay. Then say
and for example age equals 24. Then we can also console.log hi max, like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
But so if I change this to Stephan, for example, of course that doesn't apply anymore.
Yeah. So if we would like to have an answer, in this case you would have write an else and then console log who are you, or
so I could say, for example, console
first time,
log, I don't know, not max. And we're sad about that. So in this case, Stephan is
okay.
not
Now that now it all comes together.
And the great thing is, like I said again, instead of having to write this again and again and again, I can just call the function and say max and
just change the parameters and
Andreas,
or
Christian, whatever. So I only get max.
Just to complete that, just for me, if I would put an or between max and age, or the two pipes, then
how many of those would say hi max?
Every single one.
Yeah, that's perfectly right. That's exactly what happens. So if I run the code again, hi max, because they're all 24 years old.
Because at least one of them is always true.
Yeah.
In the case of max and 24, both are true, but this doesn't matter because we're just looking for one true.
Yeah, exactly. So even if I change this to Maximilian, then whatever. Then
is this your actual name, Maximilian?
Yeah, it is.
Great. My son is called that too. His second name is also Maximilian. Yeah,
good choice.
Great name. Yeah. If I would have I would have chosen the first name as Maximilian to be true. Yeah. Because anyway, blah blah. Let's move on.
Yeah. So, like I said, even if this changes, we're still here.
It's still true, and
But on the other hand, if I change my age, of course, the same.
Still true.
Still true because I'm still max.
Yeah. But now we would put an I behind the X.
And now
we wouldn't get that printed out.
That's exactly right.
Just the other three. Yeah.
This is not max anymore. Right.
Oh yeah, right. Because we have an else case here. So in case, there's not a max or a 24-year-old person in the user info, we get the not max.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is.
I think I'm getting it. Yeah.
That's very good, because this is also where we stop. Next, we will look into your exercise. We'll see what you're gonna get. And
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think you're gonna do good, just as always. And
yeah, let's see what you got in.
Yeah, I'm also here to help, so I'm sure we'll manage to do it. And
pretty sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
See you next time.
See you next time.